general investing account. So as you guys can see, we've had a bit of an interesting week. We started the week, last week off, down, and it went up, obviously, and obviously it's come back down. There's just so much volatility within the market, all the news of Trump tariffs, and honestly, I'd expect the volatility to continue just because of the, uncertainty surrounding, the Trump tariffs. The market, there's one thing the market doesn't like. It's uncertainty, and obviously that's shown here by just in the past week. Although it's only had a change of 1%, we have seen just massive variation in the price. We even see Nvidia down. If we look over the last 3 months, Nvidia's down 22.22%. It's the most valuable company in the world. So you would have thought that there would be some guaranteed sustainability. The beta would be lower, just like Apple. I think Apple's beta's around 1, but we just see so much volatility around the market with concerns around just the global supply chain. Obviously, although this might seem a scary time to invest, I really do think it's a great opportunity to put money into the market. I think over the next 4 years under the Trump presidency, we will see the stock market hit all record highs. Obviously, not financial advice. Do your own research, and obviously that has translated to my Tesla position. We did see, that Tesla did make some gains. It got up to like 280, and then since we have had a pullback, I'm surprised that it is down 4.44% today, just because on Friday we did have the announcement of XAI acquiring X. Now initially I thought it'd be the other way around, because I was like, X has more like guaranteed cash flow, with all the advertisers, the users, paying subscriptions for blue check mark. So I really thought that it would be X acquiring XAI. I'm even surprised XAI didn't start off being already part of X. It was all, but then obviously Elon, to attract the talent for XAI, it really needs to be a startup. So he created a new company, XAI, and they've just been going leaps and bounds. And now, because of their valuation being 80 billion, more than X is, it made sense to do it that way around, just because they would have more equity, more investor interest into that company compared to X. Although X has all the data. Anyway, why is this important for Tesla? Well, one, it means that that Tesla would no longer be the cash cow for X. Elon might be well, I don't think he'll be selling any more of his Tesla shares to fund X if he can do that for X. Because obviously there is a load of outside investor sentiment for XAI, and he can try to funnel that source of funding that is really for XAI, and he can also use that to fund X now that they're the same entity. Because as obviously investors, if they want part of XAI, they're also going to have a part of X as well. So that does take off some risk of Elon selling shares with Tesla. Now we don't know how the deal is structured, and if there's Tesla shares as collateral. We obviously don't know the insides and outs of that, but I do think that this takes a selling side pressure off of Elon Musk's Tesla shares. So obviously, I would have thought that would have been bullish for the company, but obviously the tariffs, for Tesla, obviously they import a lot of their batteries, even though they make their cars in the US, they import their batteries from China, so they are going to be hit with a tariff. They are going to have increased costs in the US. Now obviously it's whether or not they can offset that with new manufacturing techniques and economies of scale. So we can see if they can kind of offset some of these increased tariffs costs. So although we have had good news when it comes to XAI buying X, and the future, what that means to Tesla, whether when Tesla's generating substantial cash flows, whether then Tesla in the future can buy both of them now that they're in the same entity. So I really hope that once Tesla starts generating massive amounts of cash flow, from their full their full self-driving robotaxi business, their Optimus business, once the cash flow just gets obscene, then they can acquire both that company, now that one entity, and make it part of Tesla. Just because as being private companies, it's a shame that I can't invest in those two companies. Obviously I know a lot of you guys say you only buy Tesla, but if X or XAI also were publicly listed, I would probably buy shares in them. But yeah, anyway, guys. So what does that mean for my Tesla position? And sorry, I went on a bit of a rant there, but basically, I'm still at 105 shares. You know, I have been saving up, saving money. Instead of buying into the market, I was like, okay, the new tax year is so close. You know, we're just at the end of March. New tax year is begin like 6th of April, so just another week now for the new tax year. I just want to be putting, money into my ISA rather than my general investing account. I mean, obviously, it doesn't matter too much because I'll hit the ISA goal no matter what, even without this extra like couple thousand that I've saved, ready to go into my ISA. You know, I can just basically buy at these current prices in the ISA rather than buying at these current prices in the general investment account. So obviously it's very small like differences, but yeah, that's basically why I'm still sitting at 105 shares in this account. You know, £20,300. You know, I am down 4.09% minus £869. You know, average price is $255, and now we see, in after hours trading, we're sitting at $251. So yeah, I'm slightly down. I'm not too worried about it. You know, obviously, a year from now, I think it'll be double this price. Obviously, not financial advice. Do your own research. And you guys, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who might be interested. Anyway, that's it for me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.